Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick. Welcome to Her Conversations, Tools for the Awakening. Her is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. This is the optimal state to embody in order to attract our highest desires. What is the awakening? This is the moment in time when humanity rises up out of the darkness. Who is awakening? Each one of us present on planet Earth today, reclaiming our sovereignty, seeking greater possibilities in our reality and looking for solutions. We know being awakened is not a lofty ideal, but a necessity. If we can transform ourselves, we can change the world. Guests on Her Conversations will speak to your spirituality, sensuality, and soul. Listen to their stories and hear how they are in service to the world. Let their words and these conversations embolden and inspire you. My guest on this episode is astrologer and energy healer Richard Labonne. During this conversation, Richard shares his wisdom on how we can use powerful natural elementals, including orgone and shungite, to protect us from harmful radiation, including EMFs, Wi-Fi, 5G, to heal and fortify ourselves spiritually and energetically. We also discuss the current onslaught on humanity and a future with malevolent technologies. And also, Richard delves into the astrology of the present Piscean age and the coming Aquarian age. So as always, I begin by asking my guests, Her is an acronym for Higher Energetic Resonance. When do you feel you're most her?
When I feel that vibration, generally, my time is always in the evening time. And now I would say the evening is the time when I generally feel more active, spiritually, creatively, spontaneously. And this is how I'm able to give my full potential. It maybe perhaps is the time because around the time of 5 is the time, 5 or 6, something around 6 or something like that, my birth time, came forth. So I tend to feel very alive during the beginning of the evening. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The complete opposite to me. By that time, because I'm an early riser, so I'm up with the sun, so like as we go more and more into summer, I'm up like earlier at 5, because I want to catch the day. So I'm not good at lying in at all. So by the time it gets to like 5, 6, 7, by 8, 9 o'clock, I'm just not functioning really. So we're on the opposite side of it.
I mean, I function, but it's like, how can I explain it? It's like I try not to eat really during the day, and in the evening, like about 4 or 5, that's when I have my meal, and my day will kick in that respect. And so I'm talking about more like the juices of creativity would just kick in. But during the day, I think it's just the time to just do things, do important things. And then in the evening, that's when the creativity kicks in, I guess. I don't know. It's just it's just one of those things. Yeah.
It's good. No, it's good that we all have our moment during the day so it doesn't get overwhelmed with everything. And before we go a little bit further, Richard, can you just speak a little bit more about you and your gifts and how you're serving humanity and how you got into the work that you're doing now?
Right. I guess my spiritual path has kind of led me through different walks, to be honest with you. I came across a booklet when I was about, I'd say the age of 9, 10. Mm-hmm. It was in an attic, actually, in the house that I'd moved into. And, it kind of opened up many layers about spirituality and how you may activate certain faculties, such as astral projection and lucid dreaming. So it took me forth. And from there, my whole life lit up because I realized that it's not just about going to school, and learning, the things that they were teaching us. So it kind of sprinkled in my mind. I was like, that is amazing. You can astral project, you can lucid dream, you can read the stars, you can look into a crystal ball. All of those things stemmed from this one booklet, or pamphlet, I should say. And then I remember I asked my mother if she could get me those pamphlets on a monthly basis, and she did, which I was pretty shocked because she was, Catholic. So all of that mystical stuff was kind of, pretty deep for her. But at the same time, she was very open to it. So, she did have some doubts about religion, I presume. Probably still does now, though she's still, Catholic. But nevertheless, and then eventually, it led me on into, many aspects of life. And I guess it became a part of my life. But it didn't really start kicking in until the age of 16 when I started researching more into like conspiracy theories and the hidden aspects of the media and reality that we live in. So it really opened up so many layers and opened up so many dynamics that it eventually led me back on to the spiritual path, and then I wanted to make a difference to the world. So I decided to go through different paths. First, I started, advertising and selling documentaries, which basically was talking about what was going on in the world, and I felt that I had a voice. People were really kind of listening to the message, but I still realized that people weren't really practicing. So the practice was more important for me. It was more about, feeling, understanding, by practical experience, direct experience, because all of these documentaries and different theories, they have their part, but there's still more that meets the surface. So it's like, until you feel, until you understand, until you have an inner connection to what's out there, you can't really contemplate spirituality. You can only begin to understand what it is and where we live in when you experience these effects. So my first encounter was with orgonites. And orgonites are a combination of crystals, gemstones, metals, and resin. And when I came across it, it was at an event. And this woman gave me this cube. She gave me the cube. She told me to place it next to a plant. At the time, I was kind of into crystals, but I wasn't, because I couldn't feel the energy of crystals. So she gave me this crystal. I experienced with it. I placed it next to my plant. Plant grew rapidly. I was a bit like mesmerized, but I didn't really take it too seriously. But it was not until I was laying one day at home and I had this severe headache and it just didn't go. And I was like, what is this all about? And I started seeing flashing lights through my eyes and it was really awkward. So I was panicking and I reached out for that little cube orgonite that she gave me. That was months afterwards, actually. And then when I picked it up, I literally rubbed it around my neck and then suddenly the headache just vanished. I was like, whoa, like that is crazy, this little thing. And then the flashing lights in my eyes, they started to go as well, gradually. So it was, a pretty deep experience for me. And from that point, I started really digging into crystals as well as the orgonite and really started doing some deep research. Because at the time, watching documentaries was cool. But when I began experiencing it like that, I realized how powerful these things really were. And, and then, from then, I ordered a necklace from this company. I wore the necklace, and as soon as I wore it, my energy was just high. I was feeling happiness for no reason. Like, it's really hard to explain this to anyone who may not understand. It's like this inner joy for no apparent reason. And then it led me on to, you know, selling them myself and really kind of getting people to experience them, you know, and, you know, and that was the joy for me with regards to these instruments. And that was the first layer. But, you know, astrology has always been what I resonate with. And it's where I able to give people insight with the truth of the universe. Because it's always fascinated me that you can predict the future, or should we say not predict, but predict how an event is going to occur. But you can always make the changes within yourself to adjust or make the transformation so then that event doesn't occur the way it's supposed to happen, you know. And so you can make some alterations, because that's what life is about, creating your own reality and knowing the timelines of when to do it. And so astrology opens up many doors in that respect. But the organites and the crystals is another layer and another possibility. You see,
are you able to speak a little bit more to the background and the history of orgonite? Like where's it rooted from? This is a technology. So how did all of this come together? Who was the pioneer in terms of bringing it forward so that we could benefit from it?
Yeah. So with organites, you know, it goes very, very far back. We can go as back as Egypt. We can go as back as Lemuria, even. First and foremost, the orgonite is an electromagnetic conductor. So it electrifies and it transforms. Therefore means it absorbs light through its receptivity. As soon as light touches into it, it then creates an electrical current, which obviously, should we say, magnetizes it into the grid, and then formulates and charges the atmosphere with a different light code. So it's a transformer. Now, orgonite was rediscovered by Wilhelm Reich. You know, I would say rediscovered because, you know, the science has been there for countless of years, thousands of years even. And Wilhelm Reich discovered or rediscovered it by finding out that mixing resin and metals would generate a form of electricity. The metals will accumulate positive, or should we say, radiation within itself, and then will re-emit that into the atmosphere. So whether it will actually absorb negative and positive, actually. No, I wouldn't just say positive, but energy is energy. So it would literally magnetize that through the resin and the metals. So the metals would literally attract that, and the resin is like this matrix which holds it, and it's like a form of plastic. So resin in naturality is natural, you know. But what they use to make it in this day and age is fiberglass resin, which can be a little bit toxic, but nevertheless, when it transforms it, it changes it to a positive charge, which is very healthy for the body. So what he discovered was that the resin and the metals interacted well, which generated a charge to the body, which would heal the body gradually and eventually. So he invented the box called an orgone accumulator. You would sit inside of this box and it would accumulate energy. And as you sat down inside this box, inside of it, it was made out of resin and metal shavings, which is what we've just briefly spoken about. So what it would do, it would naturally start giving the body a light pulse. So the pulse would be like pretty soothing, almost like that sensation when you get when you're outside and it's cold, that goosebump type of energy. And that vibration is what orgone is. But imagine being in a warm place and feeling that same vibration. but it's not cold, it's just vibration. So it's that kind of tingly sensation that the body feels. And that is actually what we call positive energy or frequency or energy in itself. And it's healing. And sometimes it can be negative if you don't know what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Like when you're using your mobile phone, when you're using your laptop, you get that same energy, but it emits a negative wave, which is radiation, which is harmful or deadly orgone energy, they call it. Mm. So that in itself, when you're by the laptop, can sometimes feed onto you, and you may have like a headache, or you might feel yourself a little bit dizzy. That is what is called DOR, deadly orgone energy. So with the orgone now, it vibrates that positive charge, it transforms that. So it takes on the negative energy from the laptop, from the computers, and it brings back on that positive charge, that positive energy that the body needs. And so basically, this is one of the keys to transforming that. Now, Wilhelm Reich, who discovered it in the 1950s, was able to alter the weather forecast with that, you know. So it was the same combinations, but he used like a tube of copper to generate that vibration, to alter the weather forecast. That was one of the techniques that he utilized that. And then eventually over the years in the late, beginning of the 21st century, a guy called Don Croft reinvented the orgone by adding quartz crystal, which then gave the orgone a piazonic electrical current, which is a form of electricity that quartz crystals generate. And so that happens when it squeezes inside the resin, which is where the plastic comes in. When that squeezes it inside, it releases an electrical energy. And that is a purifying effect, because the quartz naturally cleanses negative energy. So that energy in itself helps repopulate the energy into the atmosphere by also transforming a radiation, which is where the radiation gets transformed through the quartz and the metals. So in this day and age now, it's helpful because of the laptops, the mobile phones, the EMF, the radiation. Whereas in the time of Wilhelm Reich, he was using that to heal people and bring people back to health, basically. So yeah, it's.
You know, because you're talking about the being able to change the weather, and you know, if you're like me and you're a digger of what's really happening, you know that weather manipulation is a thing, you know, and it's for many people to even consider that weather manipulation is a thing is like outside the remit of what they believe is possible. But it is a thing, it's a searchable thing. It's not even a conspiracy theory anymore. It's an actual thing. And, you know, we have to look at areas where we've just seen like crazy weather out of nowhere for no reason. And even within this country, but if you kind of look at America and see areas that have just had like nuts weather for completely kind of no reason, considering, you know, the climate in itself. What I'm thinking is, or what I want to ask you is, because there are so many suppressed technologies anyway. There are so many things that are available to us in terms of what's possible for healing, what's possible for our own awareness of what our own capabilities have been like completely narrowed, and we've been suppressed and poisoned through our food sources, our energy sources, our information sources, just to kind of keep people in a very narrow tube of reality. But in terms of like the energy, because when you were speaking, I was just thinking, well, I have heard time and time again that there is free energy out there, and I've seen films of people who are already utilizing free energy. What is the potential of organ? How wide could it go? Could it be another power source so that it could take the place of gas, electrical, what the amenities or the way that we've kind of set up our like the laptop, we've got to plug it into electricity. Maybe there's another way of using it. Maybe it's something along the line of solar or different kind of quantum or kinetic energies. Like, what is the potential of that technology?
Mm-hmm. Well, they've already invented cars with the same technology. So the orgonite in itself, there's an invention where the motor would run on orgone. So it would work through solar and it would generate free energy. So as you're sitting inside this car made out of orgone, you would also be encapsulated with this positive charge of vibration. So free energy has always been around. And again, it goes back to the pyramids, because pyramids are energy transmitters, you know. They absorb light. Light is the highest form of radiation, which then allows it to transmute into any object which can be conducted into. Mm-hmm. So light is how we absorb energy in itself. And we absorb light through food, through the sun, and we synthesize that into information. So in essence, when we look at this type of information, such as free energy, it has always been there. Nikola Tesla also created this satellite, which after him creating that satellite, they basically, wanted to take him out because of the energy substance behind it, And actually, this was supposed to be what was supposed to lit up the whole world, So if that was one of the key ingredients, and obviously free energy is what we should be living on. When we look at, the technology that we're using right now, such as the mobiles, the Wi-Fi system, that uses low frequency. So that frequency pulls you out and it ungrounds you. So that's why you always have to be in nature at least once a day, just to take off your shoes, walk in nature, or be in the park in nature, grounds you from this radiation. So free energy is what is on the other spectrum of radiation. So free energy utilizes solar energy, which is frequency, which is on the ultraviolet ray. The violet ray is one of the highest spectrums, which tunes you into higher form of consciousness. And so in essence, it's also the reason why the world as we know is under mind control through the low frequency, or the waves which are extremely low, which won't allow you to think higher consciousness or higher thoughts based upon the vibration and the frequency to lower consciousness down. So, however, due to the fact that we have the sun, which is emitting a higher frequency at this present moment in this day and age, it's allowing light code to be transmutated into the earth, which is allowing us to interact with it if we choose to fine-tune the body to resonate at a higher frequency. So therefore means fasting, eating light, connecting to crystals, gemstones will allow us to tap into that. So there are many people who are tapping into that vibration as we speak. But it's just about how are you tapping into it? If you're eating a lot of dense food, then you won't be able to tap into it the same way that various other people would be able to tap into it, So And you become more sensitive to free energy when you begin to vibrate at a higher frequency by eating the right food. However, you cannot always feel it if you're not in tune. But naturally, even if you ain't eating the right food or ain't resonating on the right thoughts, you can still pick up on the energy. Just the same way that we feel negative more times because of the Wi-Fi system and all of this low frequency, we have to use tools to counteract it, you know. And free energy is all around us. The best place to find free energy is by water, because water creates electricity. So water and light or sun, water and the sun are two forms of keys which give life and connect with that vibration. So, I mean, that would be the technique to tap into it, you know.
That's good. And a couple of things I want to ask you, but especially when you tapped into and you touched on the mind control that's happening right now, and how, I mean, it's getting more and more apparent that vast amount, all of us to a certain extent, but there's a real massive population that are under a spell, a deep spell, to the point where, well, I'm thinking in my mind, I don't know if you know the story of the Pied Piper, you know, when the Pied Piper comes in and starts playing his whistle, and like all the kids just kind of go off and follow him and don't realize that they're like going to follow him to their detriment, really. And it's like, this is what we're seeing now. It's like people are so encapsulated, one with the spell of television, the spell of external leadership and celebrity and all of that kind of stuff, that they're willing to just completely just follow these people and believe anything that they will say, even and even when it doesn't make any sense, even when you think at a core level now this can't be making any sense, especially when we're kind of looking at, you know, we've just had a year of this whole like corona stuff as well, and you know, we were banging, like, for those of us who are just going, no, like this, things are not adding up, but people are so led by fear, and then the spell that is being cast in front of them of like your prime minister and president and this person who's kind of just like waving like a solution for you, but it didn't even stop there. It's like also it's gone to the next degree now, and the next degree is now almost just getting people to drink the Kool-Aid. You know, you're literally just giving them the cup and go for it, and people are putting reason aside, even in the face of overwhelming evidence of how people are getting harmed by this. And also even the ones that aren't even getting harmed right now, what it's potentially going to do to them and how it's altering their body structure, their DNA structure, and what that means for them in the long run. It's like, how can we, I mean, I know we can't do anything externally, but like what element, like when does that spell get broken, or does it not? I mean, I imagine not everyone is going to wake up from that spell. Maybe it's not their soul's lesson to wake up from that spell, but how do we, you know, guide? Because obviously bringing reason and information and sending links, that ain't doing it. Yeah. That's not doing it. So energetically, there's got to be some sort of shift that we've got to kind of, like the spell that they're in. It's like, is there an antidote to that spell that they're under that you can see or you can feel?
It's going to take a lot. First and foremost, it's really about the inner belief that one withholds. Religion is a set of belief which holds one into a boundary, and it's through fear that religion holds people. Right. So it's the fear of death. When we think of spirituality, there is still some layers within that, because now everyone would classify themselves spiritual once they shift away from religion. However, within spirituality, there's also different layers of beliefs? What are the core beliefs within those spiritual insights? And so the real essence is about questioning first your inherent belief about life. What is the purpose to life? What does it mean to be alive? Why am I alive? What makes me happy? Those things then allow you to have a purpose. So most of humanity now has a purpose, but the purpose stimulates from a form of religious belief or religious thinking. And so that belief system holds them in place to make the next move. Though they know what is true, they know that they're being mind controlled. They have an insight. Everyone has a soul or building towards a soul. But there's an insight that comes in that knows the truth. But the fear is what is killing us. The fear is what is stopping us. We've been so brainwashed to live in a particular way that we just now are just responding to the fear. So to overcome this fear, we have to face reality. And the reality is the truth that we've been lied to.
Right.
And because most of us ain't ready for this or ready to hear the truth, they will sink into the lie, take the vaccine, do the tests. They want to believe something that is not true. So until people see the reality, it will actually keep going on. It will actually keep going on. The mind control will continuously happen as long as people accept the reality that they're living in. The reality is that those people are not here to help you. They are here to put in the programming to literally harvest your energy. And it's not a food thing, it's an energy thing. It's an energy where they are zapping you through fear. They are zapping your consciousness through fear. And the more they can do that, the more they can implement fear, and the more they can zap your vitality, the more they empower the system. And so that's what they're doing. They're feeding on us, literally. They're feeding on us. So the key is that once we can get out of fear by informing people about themselves, knowledge is the key, then that change will happen. But they know what they're doing right now because they have certain technology in place. On the other hand, they know that consciousness is rising. So they will do as much as they can to alternate that, to try to counteract that with the technology that they have, the food and everything. So they're going to try and do that as much as possible. But we still have the power and the tool through learning and understanding who we are and what we have, as a collective consciousness. But until then, as much as we're caught up in the illusion, because the illusion is a big thing, then the mind programming will continue,
No, I hear you on all of that. And especially when you're speaking to the fear, because that fear has been used as the primary emotion on every level, most people are run by fear. The fear of not wanting to, I was speaking about this yesterday as well, and we were talking about, because as a women's group, we were speaking about our concerns about what is happening to women's bodies as a result of this, and not even as a result of taking it, as a result of being in the vicinity of people who are taking it. And this is a real, I don't know if that's crossed your mind as well, but women are having
sorry to cut you, that's actually crossed my mind. I came across that information the last few days, that people who are doing the test and the vaccine, it's affecting the female's menstrual cycle, instantly. So, let alone what other things that people are experiencing. It's crazy because, as they say, if you want to know what's happening in the world, you look at how women are behaving, because women represent the first essence of feelings. So, and then then you see what's happening, and if that's happening, that's already affecting the blood. So what is it that they're doing, like you were saying? Sorry.
I'm glad you tapped into that, because as a result of that, because I work on another project as well, and we're very much about the awakening and bringing forward information and collating that as well. So one of the projects that I'm researching now is just finding out, are there things that either people who've taken the jab or not, and then people who haven't, who are doing their best to kind of stay clean in their body, take the right supplements, do the right kind of mindset and everything like that to kind of protect themselves. Because now it's not even just about you not taking it on board, it's about you being in the vicinity. And one thing that I heard that was really interesting, that was, someone's putting forward like some ways that you can counteract it, but also because I've seen, people come forward, women come forward and speak about it, even as much as taking the pictures of what is expelling out of their body. And it's affecting women, within who are still in that age range of having a menstrual cycle, but then also women who are in nursing homes, so who are well past menopause, and even younger girls. But one thing he put forward was that it's almost like an evolutionary response, because it's the womb. This is where you enter into this reality, everybody, all of us. And for those, some women have been unfortunate enough to experience miscarriage. And it's almost like when your body takes something on, like for instance, if we eat a poisonous meal, within half an hour or so, the body is going to expel that poison. So is this, and this is me just kind of like mulling it over, because it's only a few hours ago that I came across this, and I'm still like, this kind of could be a thing that as a woman, it's kind of came and they felt that energy or that poison or whatever that is. And from the actual literal gateway to this reality has literally just shed itself to kind of rid it of whatever this is. It's like, and unfortunately, if they're already carrying a child, then that child would have been so adversely affected that their life would not be, a comfortable life. It would have been so disfiguring to them that it's kind of attacked the embryo, the fetus, or whatever stage it's at, that the body has shed. And for women, it's not that they're just having clots, they're like the actual entire lining of their womb is literally falling out. So that's just like the level of, but like you're saying, it's like you look at how it's affecting the women. This is how it's affecting the women. The birth canal, the literal gateway to this reality is just going no, and just putting a dampener on it. And of course, men are getting affected as well. But like you're saying about the effect on the women, and it's really concerning. And I've a friend who experienced it, where she was around the area that she lived in is pretty much, she's probably the only one, her and her partner, the only one who haven't taken the jab. And she experienced, she's like clockwork, and she experienced 2 weeks away from when she'd finished her cycle normally, then she had abnormal bleeding. So it's not even, this is something I'm hearing seeing on social media. It's now come a step closer where I'm talking to people that it's actually happening to now. And it's a concern, because we don't know where this stops. It's also, it's an attack on the ones who are living right now in altering their body. But then clearly it's like trying to just wipe out humanity, and it's like, why go so slow? If you want to take humanity out, just kind of take us out in a moment. Why kind of slowly attack us like this? I don't know if you've got any kind of thoughts on what that is, but those are my experiences and just things that I'm just learning about that in literally the recent days.
Yeah, that is happening because first and foremost, in adrenochrome, can never say that word right, but they feed on energy, and so they feed on fear, and fear releases more energy than happiness. and that adrenaline is what they feed on. So the more they can do that and gradually pull on energy before they can slowly, literally pull out the life force of a human being, is what they're working with. But they've worked out a way to do it in a different way. So they're using this technique called the media.
Right.
And so this is what's going on. And yes, I realized that it affects, this whole thing is affecting people's lining, people's gut, because the 5G, which is the radiation, which is being put on all these lights, these street lights, is gradually affecting us, because the connection with the vaccine is that the vaccine, such as well as the test itself has nanoparticles.
Right, yeah. And some of them the mass even.
Yeah, so both ways it's interacting with the chemtrails, which is also filled with nanofibers, which then creates nano apps. So these applications are being installed into your body in a sense, and then gradually they're evolving with you, with your evolutional process of your body. So it's creating robots and also killing off people slowly and gradually. So the only way, one of the techniques would be by constantly flushing out the body on a weekly basis is important. You know, taking certain iron supplements will help to rejuvenate the body, as well as doing cleanses. Having shungite water, shungite water is very important. Again, it all comes down to walking in nature.
Right.
Being in nature is the key, as much as possible, if you can. Because meditation is also key. You can heal your body just by observing the cells in your body, by connecting with the light particle in your body, observing that, and also channeling frequency to parts of the body which needs healing, working with organites, crystals, specifically quartz, would be really cool to tap into the cells by visualizing and concentrating, healing the cells, the wounds. These are subtle effects, subtle ways of doing it. There are tools and techniques that they have out there, and probably certain things to heal all of this stuff. Neem is also good for clearing this stuff. Yeah, neem powder is really good.
Okay.
So those are some of the techniques, but it's all about using frequencies as well. They've got this frequency, this operation called Healy. Healy is a frequency, a healing machine, which interacts with your phone. They have all these weird gadgets now, and it sends frequency to your body and heals your body. Though it does work, on the other hand, it uses this frequency to channel and tap into your signature vibration, your body frequency signature vibration. And it's able to know what frequency you're resonating on, and literally is able to know what you need. So just to familiarize people with that, is that they have this science in place. So, not to throw in fear, but they can tap into individuals,
right,
and utilize that through your phone, and know what frequency you're on. So in other words, to come out of this system, or to literally slowly come out of it in such a way, we kind of need to stop using these gadgets in the way that we use them, if we really want to exit from what's happening. Because our mobile phone is a technology which interacts with this technology. And let's be honest, those who are using those gadgets on a frequent basis, without using at least what we call like a stylus, I use a stylus whenever I use a mobile phone.
Mm.
I can't take the technology of it. It's very potent. It's very potent. So it's like using a stylus or something that you can interact with, so it doesn't always go into your cells, because those things have an effect, and how that interacts with the nanoparticles of these nanofibers that are used just in the test alone.
Right.
As a gradual effect, because the update is the mobile phone. You see, the update is the mobile phone. And the vaccine is the killer of the immune system, which then, that's for those who are not in the know. For those that are in the know, I would highly recommend having some good shungite around you. Some good shungite around you. Shungite would eradicate a lot of this radiation. But it's about drinking it, drinking the water from the shungite. So it's so much is going on, so much is going on. And it's about protecting yourself as much as you can, having certain insoles, magnetic insoles, wearing copper bracelets, which cleans the blood on a constant basis, because that's what you want to do. Clean the blood as much as possible. Iron is the key for that.
It's good, that you're saying all of this, because I think it's slowly dawning on more and more people, and even the people that are awake are actually seeing the severity of what's going on, because it just kind of looked like it was going here, but it's like, no, this is like the screws are being tightened, and it's not even just within our country, it's pretty much across the planet, which doesn't even make any sense how you can manage how the entire world pretty much can be like under the same regime, but we're all being pushed into one space. This is the situation that we're at, where we're in war, and going back to the fear of going back into the fear of it. And also I match you on when you're saying that on a soul level everyone knows. I 100% believe that. Even the people that have walking around the supermarket with 2 masks and a visor and the gloves, and their soul knows on a level that ain't really, there's something about this incorrect. We're all the same at the core, really. So they must be aware on some level, but somehow they're constantly overriding. They've got past the point of like, just doing this, putting that on, and spraying and rubbing everything, and just somehow there must be that little spark, that little voice that is telling them, or that gut feeling or something, and they, for one reason, and taking notice of that.
That's what's making them go even more crazier. That's what's making them go even crazier, because the fact that you can wear a mask when you're on the street, right? And remember, we was talking about the core belief earlier in the beginning. The fact that you can wear that when you're on the street, when you're in the shop, that is what's making it worse, because it's allowing the programming to kick in, but then not allowing you to think for yourself anymore. In the end, you can only think for what they tell you. In the end, because you will fall into the spell. Religion was created for this. Religion was literally created to dominate, and it was made to see the level of consciousness and see where the level of consciousness is at. So it's a measuring system to see how much people can believe in something that's not true.
Right.
And so they do that through fear. So because religion is made as a technique to cultivate how fear is in an individual, then when the real programming takes forth, how are people going to respond to that fear? And so they will use and look towards their leaders. So they will look at the government. What is the government saying? Oh, the government is saying this. Okay, so we must believe the government. So religion is like a substitute to say believe in the government. They even say this when we look at the $1 bill, in God we trust. you know. So it's just a symbol. Religion is like a symbol, though it has the truth in it. It's a symbol to alter the reality,
right,
and then eventually bring in a reality which they've been wanting to use. So everything that we see, everything that we use is a symbol. But when we look at what belief is, that is the key to altering anyone's consciousness. When you go into your truest core belief of what it is that you believe in beyond any religion, it even takes you back to astrology. Because astrology is the source of the true essence of light. And light is what connects the stars together. And those stars interconnect with, now, in a nutshell, we're in the age of Pisces, moving into the age of Aquarius. Pisces is governed by Jupiter and Neptune. The age of Pisces represents the Christ, you know, Easter, you know, and that Piscean energy means delusion, confusion. It also means belief system. Jupiter and Neptune governs Pisces, which represents belief. So that Jupiterian energy, Jupiter is the teacher. Jupiter is our belief system. Jupiter is where we go back to when we want to believe in something. And Jupiter is everyone's religion in reality. In other words, we can go back into the Egyptian pantheons and say that Ptah is the door opener to our truth and our belief of what we think and believe life to be. The myths, the mythologies are older than anything else. The myths are in the stars. Each animal is interlocked by the constellations, which are a group of stars which form an animal, like the lion, the Sphinx. The lion is the constellation of Leo. Leo has a combination of stars, and the triggering of the lion, which would be the heart, has a fixed star in the sign of Leo, which would generate an animalistic nature, for example. And so those are the triggers, and the planets which interact with those fields of fixed stars generate these emotions, and certain belief systems that we believe in actually stem from these constellations. So they implant these, put it in a simple way, they give you clothes to wear and tell you that's your religion. Which one would you like to choose from? Or if you don't have a religion, let's give you spirituality. Which side of spirituality do you want to believe in? Do you want to believe into the Sufi system? Do you want to move into love and light? Do you want to deal with the esoteric system? Or do you want to deal with the truth? Right? Because we lie to ourselves all the time. Oh no, I can do this. Or this. Yes, it's good to program the mind to believe anything, but program the mind to believe something that is honestly true, right? So you can deal with the reality. Because there's reality and there's truth. Truth always changes, but the actual truth lies in the reality. So in that essence, once we can overcome and create our own belief and know what our honest belief really is, then we can alter the way the paradigm of consciousness is going, you know. And so it's all about really tuning in and really listening in to yourself clearly. You know, it's not easy in this day and age because we're always distracted. So I've gone off the grid a little bit, like in terms of like what we was talking about. I'm just trying to remember.
That's fine, but no, that's good because it's really just laying some information out there. But you were also talking about how we're Piscean and moving into Aquarian Age as well, and talking about how what planets were around that and the movement of that. How do you see and feel that transition, and in what kind of time frame are we? Like different people are saying different things. I'm hearing people like 24, 25, 26, like kind of that's when we're really going to kick off. But it's like, how long do we sit together? Because already I am noticing so many people who are just looking at this society and going, I need to step out of it before it goes into this kind of dystopian way, and start to build smaller communities where we actually start to work in a way that is probably more in line of who we are as beings, get rid of the smartphones, because there's a company out there that I've just seen that have created a phone that is not full of all the stuff of the iPhones as well, so that we can start to take away from it. It's always been kind of back of my head belief that when we have got to the point where we realize we don't need these things anymore is when we'll really come online with telepathy and all of those ways that we know that we can communicate on that level already, because everyone's had those experiences where you think of someone, they call you, there's always that kind of little bits of proof all the time that we always have that. So I'm feeling, even with myself as well, and I think I spoke to you when I had the reading with you, is like, I'm feeling to kind of take a step out of what is going on here, because one, it's difficult to be in a minority where people are not seeing any way through because they're so trapped in the fear, and you can't communicate with them. But also, as a result of not being able to communicate, you have to kind of really suppress your own voice and truth, because they're not ready for the truth. So like you're not really saying the truth so much. And from my own like experiences, like if I have certain times where I find that I'm just having to make too much small talk, one, it really affects me as well. I can feel myself shrinking down because I know more. And also I don't know everything, but I want to communicate with people with ideas of like, how are we going to solve this? What is going on? How can we, without people just going, no, it's not happening. No, to then start to come up with solutions, because we need to start kind of taking power back. Well, we've got it, but utilizing the power and not acquiescing it to these people that come to us on screens and things like that. So it's when is that real shift going to happen, in terms of it's happening mentally, it's happening consciously, but there needs to be almost like a physical, people are going to uproot and start building aside from all of this that's going on, where everyone's going to be tracked and chipped, and because we're seconds away from it, literally.
It's a thing where those who are caught up in it will get caught up in it. And that's the reality, and those who are not won't. Aquarius is a technology. It's either the technology of the body or the technology to control the body. So it's one of the two. So it's like those who are in tune will be able to overthrow the system, but there's always going to be balance. You can never solve something without bringing balance to it. You can't defeat the enemy, and you can't win against the people. You can only find balance in it. So there's always going to be a balance in the universe, though. Someone can overthrow and rule a particular time zone, right? But something will occur to alternate or change that. The age of Aquarius is a technology-based age. It's not a Piscean age where we believe in anything. It is what it is. It's like an actuality. So what is being made now is trying to actualize itself based upon our involvement in technology. So we have to counteract it by disconnecting. And the only way to do that is, each individual for themselves. We have to do it in a way where we can try and help as many people as possible. But we also have to redirect our consciousness and make a decision as to where we want to be and how we choose to live. Because it starts now. It doesn't start tomorrow. It starts now. Like, we're constantly living in the past and in the future. And the only way to make a change is to do it, like, right now as we speak.
Right.
Like, your change begins now. And it's how now do you want it? How much now do you want it? Do you want it more than what destiny holds? You know? Do you want it more than what you want to breathe in air? It's really like, how quick do you want that change to happen? But without obviously being anxious about it, you know. But it's in our face now. The programming is in our face. It's made really obvious now. So the only thing you can do is begin making some actions and make a decision as to where you want to be. That's the first step I will say to anybody. Where do you want to be? And what do you have right now that can make that shift in where you want to be, you know? And what kind of lifestyle do you want to live in? You know, you have to make a decision. If you like technology and like the way it gives you comfort, then this is the world you're going to live in. It's just real. Let's not hide from the truth. Let's just be real. If you want to change, get your suitcase ready and make a decision. How are you going to travel out of this? And, you know, but at the same time, the reality is right in front of you. So there's so many decisions. It's one of those things you can't really say where it's going to go for each individual. It's really, one, it's based upon karma. Two, it's based upon how strong is your willpower. And three, it's about the collective consciousness, the direction that the world wants to go. So everyone has an individual karma and everyone has a collective karma. So it's the collective karma that's going to see through this. And it's the truth of the matter is that what have we signed on to and how far are we willing to go with that plan that the power that be or whoever it is, it doesn't matter, is choosing it to go, you know? So it's what we're feeding, basically. What we feed is what we have. Because we feed it, then we have it. So the only way out of this is to not feed it. And most people are feeding it.
Right.
You know, that's the problem. So if you don't want to feed it, then you know where you need to be. You know, there's no complicated way of thinking about it. It's really that simple. You know where you need to be. You know what you need to do, what you are holding on to, and what you need to let go of in order to be in that realm. Because we create our own worlds all the time. So that's what I think personally. And, you know, we can help each other, help as many people as we can on the way. But we have to make the decisions ourselves, you know, because collectively, yes, we are trying to come out of this. But the reality is every individual knows or has an insight. And those that we can inform, let us awaken those people, those lions, you know, that can wake other people up. Otherwise, everything is internal. It's an internal battle. And we just have to do the best that we can and be conscious of what is available to us and utilize that to make the best choice individually first, you know, because the group consciousness will happen once people decide, you know, but we have to focus on the individual because Aquarius is an individual sign. So they're working with that energy, utilizing the sign Aquarius. Only shop one person at a time. Don't talk to people, use a machine. They're using that vibration, that same technology in a different way. So Aquarius governs telepathy. The mobile phone is a telepathic telepathic gadgets, sorry, I should say. But we can utilize it in order to benefit us or in order to destroy us. So it's how we use it, and it's an individual choice, at the same time, and a collective choice, because Aquarius represents the collective, but also the individual one. So, yeah, it's a fine line between the age of Aquarius and this time, because the Piscean age is two fishes, so it governs the whole world. Right. Pisces is actually not a bad sign. Everyone's excited about Aquarius, but what are we not excited about where we live? Pisces allows you to connect with everybody, connects you to the collective world, because it's governed by Jupiter. But Aquarius detaches you, but allows you to still connect with everybody.
Right.
Because it's an air sign. You're dealing with electricity, air. So it's the wave of the water. Whereas Pisces merges everybody. Right? So that's the difference. It's a different world. It's a different age. How do we understand that age? By experiencing it. It's a different world. We don't fully know how it's going to pan out, but it's going to pan out a particular way.
That's beautiful. That's a good close. So, yeah. So, it's just a different space. And I think that's, the fear of us is trying to maintain things and going back to normal and all of this kind of stuff. And I think it's gone too far for us to ever go back, really. More people have awoken for it to ever go back. So in this in-between time of uncertainty and not really knowing what it's going to look like, I suppose we're all trying to find our footing, and doing, and also making sure that we're bringing good people with us. But we have to allow, like you say, it to be an individual thing and everyone to make their own choice on that, as opposed to like going as a collective, like everyone's kind of done things in collective ways before, and this new individuality, if that's a word, if we're all allowed to be ourselves and shine as ourselves, like we'll just be in such a different space and a new space. And
remember, Aquarius is governed by two planets, Saturn and Uranus. Now, Saturn is the one that holds the structure in place. And Uranus represents the sudden change, sudden impulse. So it governs electricity, that Uranus energy. Now, when we think of the opposite signs, Leo is the opposite from Aquarius. Leo represents the leader. Aquarius represents the group leaders. So it's really about, when we look at the two, every age works with the other age. So Jesus works with Mary, and the Aquarius age will work with the kings, because it's about the leaders. The lion is the opposite sign from Aquarius. But there's always going to be an opposition. So the leaders versus the group, that kind of opposing energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's always going to have an intersync, because everything is in relationship to one another. Pisces meaning the fish, which is Jesus. Mary, which is Virgin, Virgo, September. So it's that same kind of energy, but the energy changes now, because it's more a fixed energy. So that's the opponent of this age, It's an opponent force and gold will govern this time, because gold is governed by the lion. So it's either gold or technology, cryptocurrency or gold. Which one are you going with? So it has so many sides to look into this, so many perspectives, so many angles, so many aspects, so many different ways.
Thank you. So before we wrap up anyway, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. And the main one I would say is, what tool can you share with others that can assist with their awakening?
I recommend orgonites as necklaces, which are really good for tuning your vibration to its highest point. Again, the shungite, highly powerful for cleansing your water. If you can, as much as you can, eat a clean diet. But the shungite, the scalar pendant, which I do recommend for anyone who are suffering from anxiety, the scalar pendant, as well as the organites. You know, the shungite is very good for grounding EMF. But the other ones are really good for, especially when you wear them, very good for grounding EMF radiation, you know, and also allowing yourself to revitalize your body and protect you from these harmful waves, you know. So that's my recommendation. And really understand yourself. To help yourself, you need to understand who you are and what your journey is. So astrology does play a key with that, you know. So that would be my highest recommendation at this present moment.
And here's a light question. What are your favorite self-care rituals? How do you take care of yourself, you know, when you're not working, when you're not serving? What do you do to just give yourself some pamper and some moments?
I'd say my best place is meditation. You know, if you can close your eyes, forget the music, just listen to your voice, listen to your inner voice, and listen to it speak, and wait for your quietness to kick in on its own. That is the greatest healing that many could actually tap into. And because we absorb every day, but we don't actually observe what we absorb. And so that's why it can drive us crazy. The more we observe the faculty, or the frequencies of the thoughts, the clearer we can be and the stronger our intention will be. So my retreat is this. As long as I can sit down and be at peace somewhere in nature or in my room, then that is, you know, that is going on holiday. Yeah.
Beautiful. And can you just share with us anything that's coming up for you, like if you've got any new services or courses or anything like that?
I'm currently doing a subscription. So the subscription is it's a monthly subscription, which is gradually teaching you about yourself and showing you through the transits of the planets, how the planets are interacting with you on a daily basis, and how to make certain faculty changes within you to better who you are, and eventually get into the truth about each planet and how they play within your body, because each planet connects with your organs. So it gives you that kind of insight as well. I'm also going to be doing a course soon where people can subscribe to the course, an astrological course, which will break down the planets as well as their signification to the ancient system. And so that's what's coming up on my side, you know. Yeah, apart from that, that's it really.
Good enough. That's plenty. I'm sure that's, you know, that's a lot of work that goes into that. So, you know, big it up for sure. And so can you just let everyone know where they can find you, like share your website, social media platforms? Yeah,
so you can find me on orgone-energy on Instagram. Which has tons of videos on there and information and different things that I do. My website, which is Orgone. So Orgone is ORGONE, hyphen, the little line in the middle, energy, ENERGY.com. And on the website, there is evidence, information of different kind of things, stuff to protect yourself from radiation and negative energy. Yeah, and so basically those are the two platforms that you can find me on and gain as much insight as you can.
That's perfect. Well, I just want to say thank you for taking your time and sharing your wisdom and insight and I know I've learnt a lot in the last hour or so from you. And it's such a pivotal time as well that I think it's really key that people really take on board that even though it looks like it's completely messy out there, that there's an opportunity for us to really transform and rise and really create something that we can't even, we're not even sure what it looks like, but we've got an idea of what it feels like, and just to kind of go with that, and knowing that there are people like yourself who can help and assist us with apparatus, tools, practices that can actually make that happen. So it's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your platform and connecting with you. You know, it was a pleasure, and sharing that information is always growth, you know, for us, for you, for me, for everyone.
Thank you, Richard, for your wisdom and your sharings on this week's episode, and thank you for listening. You can find out more about me on my website, which is carolmaywhittick.com, carolmaywhittick.com. You can also find me on social media, Facebook as Carol May Whittick, and also on Twitter and Instagram as Casmic, that's CAZMICK. So until the next episode, take care of your spirit, your body and your mind. Speak soon. Bye.